Hey there, y'all. Meteorologist Shane Smith here with you. 10:30 on Monday evening, August the 4th. By the time you're watching this, likely going to be August the 5th. Back to school week for a lot of folks across the bluegrass. And the weather pattern looking a little cooler than average. We should be in the mid to upper 80s right now. But you've noticed we've had a lot of clouds the last couple of days, and the temperatures have been a little cooler. And that's the reason for that is we've got a little bit of an upper level disturbance just off to our west. You can see that area of surface low pressure associated with it back near Jonesboro, Arkansas. And that's just helped keep a bit of cloud cover around. In fact, we can put the old satellite picture on, switch it over to infrared, and you're going to just see we've had just a lot of clouds out there. And overall, the pattern is just looking a little cloudy and a little cooler the next couple of days as that just area of upper level low pressure kind of chills out a bit. Notice we've also got a little bit of a stalled frontal boundary down along the Gulf Coast. We've got that heat ridge building in the west. That's likely going to keep us in a trough here in the eastern half of the United States, which means our weather is going to be overall cooler than average and potentially a little bit more active, with at least a few chances of showers and thunderstorms each day the next couple of days. In fact, tomorrow we're calling for a high of 81 with a 30% chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms. Let's take a look at some of the models and break down how everything is looking. We're going to go to the good old European model. That's my favorite long range model. Going into Tuesday morning, a few scattered showers possible early, especially up in central Kentucky. And by late morning, one or two isolated showers possible. And as we go into the afternoon, that coverage of rain should increase a bit with the heating of the day. Very similar to what we've seen the last couple of days. It's not everyone's going to see rain, but a few scattered pop-up storms, and these are likely going to go southeast to northwest due to the wind flow at the surface right now in the upper levels. A little bit of an unusual direction for us, but it does happen from time to time, especially with that ridge off to our west. Wednesday, I think a very similar story. Slightly better coverage of showers and storms in the afternoon. I'm going to call it about a 50% chance here in London and in southeast Kentucky on Wednesday afternoon for those thunderstorms. Thursday, we start off dry with a little bit of fog. We're in August. Valley fog, very typical this time of year here in southern and eastern Kentucky, and a smaller chance of showers, just about 30% on Thursday. Friday, we're going to bump those chances up to about 40% as a few more showers and storms possibly pass through. And the same story Saturday and Sunday. So just a very typical summer pattern for us, just slightly cooler than normal in the short term. But I think we should get back up into the mid 80s as we get into the middle to end of the work week. Now, I want to take a look at the tropics over the next little bit on the GFS model because I think the long range forecast is going to be really driven by what happens in the tropics. And the modeling's been kind of all over the place. We'll take a quick break from the models, but just to show you that the Atlantic basin is starting to heat up a little bit. We're starting to see more activity. We got Tropical Storm Dexter north of Bermuda. It's going to be a fish storm. It's not really going to bother many people. There is a small chance of development, about 40% or so, just off the coast of Florida and Georgia and the Carolinas. And there's a pretty good chance of development out in the mid Atlantic. Just west of the Cape Verde Islands. And that system that develops, I think, could be the one that really drives our weather here. It's really just going to depend on what happens. If we get something spinning up off the coast or possibly going into the Gulf, that could bring a few more showers and thunderstorms our way. In fact, this is Friday, and you'll notice down here off the coast of Georgia and Florida, it looks like some kind of little area of just low pressure or potentially weak tropical system kind of tries to develop and heads into the Carolinas. If that happens, we may increase our rain chances a bit Saturday and Sunday as some of that moisture feeds off of that system. But then as we go into next week, and we're starting to get into a little bit of voodoo land, but it looks like some kind of system is going to develop down in the Bahamas. And that may have another chance at impacting our weather. uh, Possibly. It's going to really just depend on how things play out over the next week or so. But anything that spins up tropical this time of year down in the southeast United States has the potential to impact our weather here in Kentucky, at least sling some moisture and clouds our way and maybe knock those temperatures down a little bit. And that's a little bit of what the GFS is picking up on for our temperature forecast, especially as we go into the latter half of the weekend. Notice that high on Sunday only 80 degrees, very similar to what we saw today, and that's because of that increased chance of rain and clouds from any kind of potential tropical system off the southeast. So the overall forecast, though, looking at least below average for 2 more days. I think Tuesday and on Wednesday, both low 80s. We'll go mid 80s to end the week, and then that little brief cool down, and then we're just going to fluctuate a little bit. The heat ridge out west is really not budging, and as long as that is out west, that's likely going to drive things down into our neck of the woods here in the eastern half of the U.S. Everything is just going to build around this area of high pressure out on the western United States, and that's going to force everything down in the eastern United States. And when you get that downward motion, that brings in cooler air from Canada, that brings in frontal systems. You hook that up with some Gulf of Mexico moisture, all of a sudden Bob's your uncle, and we got a pattern that will likely keep us active and cooler than normal, at least for the next 2 weeks. So that's something we'll kind of keep an eye on for the next little bit. I'll have more forecast updates throughout the week, likely some short daily videos, probably in the afternoon most days this week. And we'll probably do a bigger update towards the end of the week. But thank you so much for everybody that's followed me over this summer. I'm going to try to keep the updates coming, even though back to school is this week. Today was my first day back in the classroom getting ready for students on Thursday. Had a great time getting ready for that. Looking forward to welcoming students back on Thursday. So summer break's over, friends, and we are going to have a little bit of an early fall this year, I think, if the pattern holds. If we keep that ridge out west, it's going to keep us cooler than average and give us a little early taste of fall here in the bluegrass. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Okay, until next time, I'm meteorologist Shane Smith. Thank you for tuning in. Take care and stay weather aware. We'll see you in the next one.